Okay, hi, my name is Jen, and for 2022, I decided to up my reading game, or however you want to call it. Basically, I wanted to read more. So that's why I did the January read every day storygraph challenge, which, by the way, I have continued to read every day. But I also joined RM Book Club 2022. Now, what is RM Book Club? Basically, we are reading books that the BTS leader RM, Kim Namjoon, has read. Namjoon is an avid reader, and often in BTS's music there are literary references. So I thought participating in this book club would be perfect for me to A, read new books, B, become a better reader, and C, connect with other armies and people who want to read these books. The conversations on the book club Fable page have been really great and added to the reading experience, definitely. But in this video, I will recap what the books I read in January and February. So I read Human Acts by Han Kang. Then I read Kim Ji-young, born 1982, by Jo Nam-jo, and Kitchen by Banana Yoshimoto. There was a fourth book, but I decided not to go for it. Every month we read one main book, and we have conversations about that book, and then there's also a bonus read. So depending on the month, I'm reading either one book or two books from the book club. By the way, there will be minimal spoilers, not too much. So let's get to the book I read first, which was Human Acts by Han Kang. So this novel depicts the story of the Gwangju uprising in 1980 from the perspective of many characters who are all connected to this teenage boy named Dong-ho, who dies in the beginning of the novel. In a very simplified nutshell, Gwangju uprising was students in Gwangju, South Korea, going against the unelected military dictator who was suppressing their democracy and enacting a martial law. And the students who were going against him were punished, murdered, and tortured by the government police and army. The novel describes the violence, torture, and martial law that took place in the uprising, and how people suffered and continue to feel the ramifications of that time. The characters in the novel are fictional, but the uprising did take place, so the torture and violence actually did happen. So the reading experience was very heavy, as you can probably imagine. It was really tough. The book was absolutely devastating. However, Kang writes in a very delicate manner about the events of uprising, but also when Han Kang describes the bodies of the victims, the writing is very detailed, almost in like a medical, biological way. So that was very new to me. This was also the first time that I read anything from the perspective of a deceased body, and that chapter was written incredibly well, but oh my god, it was so sad. And it's just the writing and the events in the novel, they just really showed what happened during Gwangju uprising. A quote that I found especially harrowing was, "She had no faith in humanity, that look in someone's eyes, the beliefs they espoused, the eloquence with which they did so were, she knew, no guarantee of anything." Because that's how it really is. People will do anything to gain power. The conversation on Fable were absolutely incredible. People had such in-depth thoughts about the book and how they felt, and it was just really amazing to see. So thank you to everyone who shared their thoughts, and I really enjoyed sharing my thoughts as well. If you want to read this book, please be mindful of the graphic nature of the book. But then again, even though the characters are fictional and it's a novel, it still does describe a real event. And if you want to learn more about Gwangju uprising, you can listen to Working Class History podcast. Is this pillow here weird? Is it? Well, the elephants are upside down, so let me just... Okay. So in January, I also read Kim Ji-young, born 1982, by Jo Nam-jo. And the novel tells the story of Kim Ji-young, Korean woman, a fictional character. Ji-young is trying to find happiness and pursue a career, as we all do. We see her go from a child to a mother over the course of the novel, and in the end, because of the systemic misogyny and sexism in society, Ji-young develops mental health issues. So, as we all know, most societies and systems run on the basis of capitalism, racism, sexism, misogyny, ableism, homophobia, transphobia, etc. Like, we all know this. So the topic itself, that the South Korean society is misogynistic, that was nothing new. However, the details that were shared in the novel, that was new information to me. For example, girls were not allowed to be class leaders. We don't have a class leader thing in Finland, so that was a bit surprising to me. During PE classes in school, girls were told to cover up while boys could wear whatever they wanted. And in the workplace in South Korea, women make 63% of what men make, and women usually have to give up their career for motherhood, which Ji-young also had to do in the book. I had heard of the secret camera filming incidents in South Korea, but it was still like very upsetting to read in the novel. And the author utilizes facts from society to back up like the sincerity of the character Ji-young. Like, there are actual footnotes of the sources that Namju used, and that's really an interesting way to tell a story. And I was so intrigued and loved reading this book so much that when I remember there being at one point like, oh, I have 6 pages left of this book, I guess I'm finishing it. It was very interesting to read. And actually I'm doing a presentation for a course on the novel. I'm looking at the genre of the novel. Like, is it a biographical novel? Is it a fictional biography? Is it a biography on its own? I mean, I'm looking into all of that. So that was a very interesting reading experience. So then we move on to February book. I read Kitchen by Banana Yoshimoto, and the book tells the story of a Mikage who lost her parents as a child, then her grandfather, and then as a young adult she lost her grandmother, and then afterwards she moves in with her friend Yuichi and his mother Eriko for 6 months to deal with the grief and sort of all kind of living arrangements and so on. While she's grieving, she tries to find joy in small things and then eventually falls in love with cooking. The first parts of the kitchen tells the story of Mikage, and the last part, Moonlight Shadow, tells the story of Satsuki, who reflects on the death of her boyfriend Hitoshi. By the way, quite interesting was that when I borrowed this book from the library, the title was in English, but when I opened the book was in Finnish, and I couldn't find a reason why the title was in English, but the book was in Finnish. If you know why, do let me know. Not going to lie, I didn't really get into the kitchen part of Kitchen. I mean, I thought I admired the way appreciating small things was written in the book. I also appreciate the anecdotes each character shared about processing grief. There was actually a really good quote that I enjoyed, and it kind of hit me. Let me find it. Rough English translation is like, fears are usually worse than the reality. I thought that was a very good quote. However, I wasn't that emotionally engaged with the book, and I don't know, I saw so many people on the book club praise it and and they were touched by it and they could feel it, but I don't know, I just felt like I was reading nice quotes, essentially. What really bothered me was that since Eriko was a trans woman, the other characters and the narrator constantly brought up the fact that she is not a real woman, that she was a man once, quoting the book. And I get that this book was written in 1988, so very different times, but still the constant reminders that came from the other characters. Now, whenever Eriko reflected on her life, of course that's different and that's valid and important, but when it came from other characters and it had kind of like a negative connotation to it, it it really bothered me, and it kind of ruined the reading experience because they didn't really, these comments did not serve the plot in any type of way. They were just made like, oh, by the way, this negative thing, when it's not a negative thing, absolutely not. And Erika was definitely one of my favorite characters. Overall, I didn't really enjoy Kitchen at all, which I feel bad about because so many other people have enjoyed it, and it's like a bestseller because people like it, but people are different. However, the moonlight shadow part in Kitchen, I thought that was a beautiful reflection of love and grief. Nothing too deep or like thought-provoking, but I liked it better than Kitchen. There was also, for February, there was Almond by Son Won Pyong, but I read the first 20 pages of the book and I decided that I do not have the mental capacity for this. The book was basically about the main character who had no feelings. The condition had a name, but I'll write it on the screen. But yeah, I read the first 20 pages and it was interestingly written, but then I decided not to read it. So overall, I think these books were great. Well, I thought the January books were great. Kitchen was all right. And overall, I'm really happy that I've participated in this, and I will continue my best to participate in it. I didn't really participate in the conversations for Kitchen because I just didn't have much thoughts about it. There was one comment that shared that the reader had read the book in their own native language, and they really praised the translator. And I myself had thought that, okay, maybe this book didn't hit me the way it hit others because it was written in Finnish. Like maybe there was some kind of translation issue. I don't know. Not to shade translators, of course. I am one of you, but like I don't know. It's really hard to be mean about a book. Anyways, for March we are reading 1984 by George Orwell. No, I have not read it before. Do not judge me. So I feel like maybe March will also be a one book month because I'm quite terrified of 1984. Basically, that's it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe, like, comment, all that if you want to see more from me. And yeah, have a good one. Bye.